Okay, this video is a book review. The book is called Cosmic Chemistry by John Lennox. Subtitle, Do God and Science Mix? This is John Lennox. He's a mathematician, PhD, and a bit of a biologist. He's a university professor, and he's become pretty famous for debating people about the existence of God and talking about evolutionary biology stuff. And I'll tell you what his best argument is. He's a smart guy. He's a nice guy. He tells the truth. He means well. His best statement is the following. He said, imagine you go to the beach and you see your name written on the sand. You would know that an intelligent, literate person had written your name. The ocean could not write your name. In a million, billion years, it's not going to write your name. We never go to the ocean and see a bunch of names written there. It has to be somebody who knows how to read, okay? Let's say your name is 10, even 20 letters long, all right? You know a literate, intelligent mind that can read had to write your name. So now, look at the human genome. The human genome is 3.3 billion base pairs. That's B as in billion. 3.3 billion base pairs of complex chemistry written in a sequential order, which has to be correct or the animal dies. How could that spontaneously write itself? Where did that information come from? There is no reasonable explanation other than God. We don't know exactly how, other than to say only God could have done that. It's far, far, far more complicated than anything a human could do. So the intelligent thing to say is that it comes from God. Now, some people think it's intelligent to be an atheist, and I would say, okay, you're going to say 3.3 billion base pairs of complex chemistry is going to write itself? I don't think so. You know, people have speculated in the past that if you put 1,000 monkeys into a room with typewriters, they'd eventually write Shakespeare, and that's been tried. They've had them in the room for a couple of months. All they do is defecate on the typewriters. It doesn't produce anything. Okay, now another thing too, you hear people saying, oh, well, science is making so much progress, we've now decoded the human genome. That's going to have all these health advantages. Yeah, right. Name one. Name one. I have never seen a single patient benefit from the Human Genome Research Project. You know, maybe they'll eventually find a little something here, a little something there. In reality, genetic diseases are very rare. Okay, yeah, they do occur, but they're super rare. That's not the issue with health. You know, about 75%, 80% of diet disease is due to diet. All the patients have the same thing. Obesity, hypertension, diabetes, and then atherosclerosis, which plugs up arteries in the heart, the brain, and everywhere else. Okay. All right, now I'll get into a little more detail on the book. There's an old saying by Nietzsche, the German philosopher. He said, God is dead and you have killed him. Okay, and I would say, look at it this way, the way I see it, science is dead and atheism has killed him. Because, well, you know, the original scientific method, the modern scientific method came from the Catholic Church. And it came from the idea that we have a rational God who created a rational universe, therefore it's knowable, and that we are created in his image, therefore we can understand him, albeit at our own limited rate. Okay, that's where scientific method comes from. It didn't come from any other culture except from the Roman Catholic Church. And then others copied it, okay? But that's where it came from, all right? And there's other quotes like nothing. And by the way, Nietzsche is not that impressive a philosopher. The guy was a homosexual going to gay brothels who got syphilis and died of syphilis, okay, when he's in his 40s. He's not like some type, he's a screw up, okay? Nietzsche is not somebody to admire. If you study him, you'll see that. All right, nothing makes sense in biology except in light of evolution was Theodore Dobzhansky made that quote. And I would say nothing makes sense in light of biology except if we talk about information, in light of information, like intelligent design. I majored in evolutionary biology. I was an A-plus student in the subject at Stanford University. I've been studying it, and I've read like over 50 books on the subject. You can't explain this stuff in any accidental, indirect, natural selection type of way. A mutation is like scratching an audio CD with a paperclip. You're not going to improve Beethoven, Bach, Mozart, Chopin, Handel, Liszt, Brahms, any of these guys, Schubert, by scratching their CDs with a paperclip. It's destructive. It's an editor. It's not a creator, okay? John Lennox did have the phrase, he said, look at the gospel according to John. It says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. And the idea is, what is the genetic code? It's written in words in biochemical language, okay, by base pairs, all right? It from bit, the logos, okay? Information is where it's at in designing complex things. And the information has to come from somewhere. There's no other explanation but God, okay? And people say, oh, well, religion's an obstruction of science. No, it's not. Religion and science go together, okay? I know more science than anybody watching this video, and I can tell you, I'm a devout Catholic, okay? It makes me smarter. And look at all the great scientists. Most of them were devout Christians, the vast majority of them. Copernicus, Galileo, Kepler, Newton, Maxwell, etc. They all were devout believers in God. And, 32 craters on the moon are named after Jesuit priests, okay? You look at these guys now, the modern atheists, Richard Dawkins, Daniel Dennett, and the rest of these lightweights. Okay, those guys aren't doing any real scientific work. It's very much like in the 1700s when the philosophes from France, Voltaire, Diderot, D'Alembert, okay, these guys were, promoting atheism, but none of them did any science. They're just a bunch of talkers. In general, people in the humanities are more likely to be atheists than people in the sciences, because once you study science in any type of significant way, it becomes pretty obvious. It's so amazingly complicated. The mitochondria is a nuclear power plant, okay? It's like a miracle, and you can have like thousands of them inside a tiny little cell. So the big drops in the stature of mankind came from, number one, heliocentrism. Number two, Darwin claiming that man was an ape. Number three, Freud claiming that man didn't even have control of his behavior, that he was just trying to fulfill his subconscious sexual desires, okay? All of that stuff is totally exaggerated, okay? Darwinism is one reasonable explanation for microevolution. It doesn't exclude a theistic universe, and Darwinism cannot explain, nor can neo-Darwinism. Neo-Darwinism is just Darwinism plus genetics. It can't explain macroevolution. It can explain microevolution, meaning the variety of types of dogs and cats and things like that, but it can't explain macroevolution, which means the origin of life or the origin of complexity, of different body types, of different phyla. The Cambrian expansion, there are no transitional forms to explain the Cambrian expansion. All these phyla just appeared out of nowhere, okay? No one's ever seen evolution occur. They take E. coli in a lab and do 60,000 generations of it, and what do you get? You just got E. coli, okay? No one's ever seen evolution. It can't be reproduced in a lab. And lots of things they talk about, most of the stuff in the evolutionary textbooks, it's not true. It's all fake, like Haeckel's embryos, the things they say about Darwin finches, the pepper moth. That's all bogus, fake stuff in the Piltdown Man. It's all made-up lies to try to promote evolution, okay? The stuff I'm telling you is well known. Jonathan Wells' book is probably the best one on these subjects. Nobody can explain orphan genes, genes that exist in different species that have no homologs to other species, okay? And lots of the so-called junk DNA is not junk DNA at all. It's regulatory DNA. All right, so what am I going to tell you about this book? Do I think you should read it or not? I'm going to say no. I think this book's kind of a waste of time, and I'll tell you why. Number one, Lennox has a whole bunch of YouTube lectures. He's a pretty decent lecturer, but number two, the book's really long. It's about 400 pages of small print with no pictures. And once you learn these arguments, they're pretty simple, and you don't need to keep reading 400-page books. He didn't put forth anything new in this book, so it was published in 2021. So I think the book's a waste of money. I don't recommend you buying it. If you've never read anything before, it's okay. But watch his lectures. Read Jonathan Wells' book. Jonathan Wells' book is much more to the point and clear. Let's see if there's anything else interesting to add to all of this. Oh, if you look at origin of life chemistry and human biologic chemistry in general, it's chiral, okay? To do an organic synthesis and get chiral products is extremely difficult. None of this stuff can be reproduced in a lab. They're a million miles away from being able to create origin of life. The best expert on the internet for this subject is James Tour, PhD, genius, nanochemist guy. You can't get around irreducible complexity. The flagellum spins at 18,000 rotations per minute. It's an incredible nano machine. We can't recreate these things. We can't recreate mitochondria, the blood clotting system, the brain, the eye mechanism. We can't create proteins that fold themselves like the way it happens in a human cell. In a bacteria, there's like 1 billion chemical reactions per minute, okay? They have to be perfectly done or the cell would die very rapidly. We can't do anything like that. People don't understand, that haven't really studied it, how complex cellular life is. And all life is cellular. It's amazingly complex. So the well-informed position is to believe in God. Material scientism is not rational or logical to say that everything just spontaneously arose out of nothing and invented itself. That's not scientific, okay? The human brain has 100 billion neurons with 10 times as many support cells. Did that spontaneously assemble itself? It's way too complicated. Anyways, that's it for this book review on Cosmic Chemistry by John Lennox. Hope you found it helpful.